in Georgia? Thank you. Please, it's great to be in Peachtree City, and I gotta say, you guys have got a hell of a congressman. How much do we love Brian Jack here in the 3rd District of Georgia? Thank you, Brian. Now, we got a few other people I want to thank, of course, the great EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Lee, thank you so much. And proud Atlanta native Kelly Loeffler, thank you for all you're doing at the Small Business Administration. All right, you guys are lucky to have a great Trump-endorsed Lieutenant Governor Burt. Burt, good to see you, man. How we doing? Burt greeted me on the tarmac today. He had been on the tarmac, I think, for a few minutes because he was sweating bullets. And that hot Atlanta sun, I felt bad for him, but Burt, thank you. You're going to make a great governor for the state of Georgia, and we're with you every step of the way. Now, I understand we got a little preview. This is my idea. A little preview of the Senate race here in the great state of Georgia. How'd they do, ladies and gentlemen? Do good? Well, let me thank Coach Derek Dooley. Derek, thank you for being here. Let me thank Representative Buddy Carter. Buddy, thank you. Good to see you, man. And, of course, the great Mike Collins. Mike, thank you for everything that you do. It's good to see you, man. Now, here's the thing. We're at a great American facility. I want to thank these great workers behind me. I feel bad for these guys because they got to stand up the whole time I'm talking. You guys get to take a seat, and boys, strap in, because we're going to be up here for about 3 hours. You give a politician a microphone, and it's always tough. Boys and girls. We've got a few ladies back there, too. But here's the thing. This facility, this manufacturing plant represents what makes America great. Because the products that you build, the jobs created here, the ingenuity and the technology and the development and all the things that actually make America run are built right here at this incredible facility. So thank you to Alta, thank you to the workers, and thanks to the people who make this facility run. Now, I heard something before I went on, because there's this big refrigerator right behind me, right? And somebody told me it was 13 tons, is that right? That's a big refrigerator. Now, am I also right that a lot of the products that you guys make go into Chick-fil-A? Is that right? Okay, I know that's a great Atlanta company, but as a customer, a frequent customer at Chick-fil-A, I've got a personal connection because you guys make a great American company run, and that's what I love about this country. When you guys make a great product, it enables more great products to be made. That creates more jobs for our people, that creates more American innovation, and it creates more prosperity for the American worker. And I'm here, of course, as a representative of the President of the United States that has done more for the prosperity of the American worker than any president in a generation. So can we give it up for President Donald J. Trump, because I know he's watching. And I know what the president ran on, and what the president cares about is building things right here in the United States of America. It's another reason why I'm proud to be at Alta today. Because for a generation in this country, we had American presidents and American political leaders, and let's be honest, folks, it wasn't just Democrats, it was Democrats and Republicans who would ship our jobs overseas, close our factory doors, and do not a damn thing for the American worker. So how nice is it in Washington, D.C. to have a government that is going to protect your jobs, that's going to fight for this facility and say, very simply, if you're building it here, if you're making it here, if you're producing it here, we are going to give you, and already have given you, a big fat tax cut. That's a good thing. But if you make it overseas, if you try to do something with a foreign worker as opposed to an American worker, if you try to ship our great American jobs and great American factories overseas, then you are going to pay a big fat tariff before you bring that crap back into the United States of America. And that's what President Trump's economic policies are all about, my friends. It's the carrot and the stick. We want to make it easier to build in America. We want to make it harder to build overseas. We want to make it easier to rely on our great American workers because we got a lot of them. American businesses ought to employ American workers. And we want to make it harder to employ foreigners to take those jobs from the Americans who deserve them. And most importantly, if you're working hard every single day right here in the United States, or if you're building a business right here in the United States, you ought to have a tax code that rewards you instead of punishes you, and that's what happened when we passed the Working Families Tax Cut just a couple of months ago, and of course, Brian Jack was a critical part of that, so you should be proud of your congressman. Now, what does this law mean for you? What this law means for you is that your take-home pay is going to go up over $10,000 over the next few years. What that means is that if you're working an hour of overtime, the federal government is going to keep its money the hell out of your pocket. Because if you're working hard, the government ought to leave you alone. Ain't that the truth? Do we have any single moms out there? Any single dads? Any people who work hard every single day? I had a single mom, and for a time my mom worked at a restaurant. She waited tables, like a lot of folks out there. And you know what we did in this new law? We said that if you're working hard and you're making your income via tips, we are not going to tax tips anymore because we want to give everybody out there that's working hard for those tips a little bit of relief. And that's what the Working Families Tax Cut did. No matter where you are in this country, if you're working hard and play by the rules, you ought to have a government that stands up for you instead of fights against you. That's why we increased the child tax credit in the Working Families Tax Cut. That's why we eliminated taxes on overtime and on tips. And that's why we had the biggest tax cut for families that this country has ever seen, because we believe that you ought to keep more of your hard-earned money, and we believe that if you're busting your rear end every single day, the government ought to make it easier for you and not harder for you, and that's why we fought for that legislation. Now, I am just a vice president. I'm just a lowly politician, but I'm going to try my hand at prophecy today, ladies and gentlemen, because I see the future of the state of Georgia, and in about a year, you are not going to be able to turn on the television without Senator John Ossoff pretending that he supported the Working Families Tax Cut when in reality he voted against it. And I saw a TV clip of him today. You know why he said he voted against no taxes on overtimes? You know why he said he voted against no taxes on tips? You know why he said that he voted to raise your taxes by the biggest amount in a generation in this country? Because he's allegedly worried about people getting kicked off their health care. Well, you know what? The President of the United States made a promise, a sacred promise, that the only people who are going to lose access to health care are illegal aliens who shouldn't be in this country to begin with. Because I happen to believe that Medicaid belongs to American workers and American families. I happen to believe that when you are struggling in this country, we're generous people, and we want to help you. But we want to help the people who have the legal right to be in the United States of America. So it's not about kicking people off of health care. It's about kicking illegal aliens the hell out of this country so that we can preserve health care for the American families who need it. And that's what the Democrats never talk about. That's what they'll never tell you. They'll say, well, Republicans want to do this to health care. They want to do that. They want to do all these terrible things. When in reality, if you look at what the Democrats have done, what they've tried to do is to allow millions and millions of illegal aliens into this country, to give them benefits that ought go by right to American citizens, and then to attack Republicans when we dare to stand up for the American citizens who have the right to be here. So when you watch those TV commercials in a year, and John Ossoff, I tell you, he's going to pretend to be a reasonable moderate. He's actually going to run TV advertisements, I promise you, because I ran against a guy like this in the state of Ohio, where he says that he supported President Trump's agenda. But in reality, while John Ossoff pretends to be a moderate when he comes to Atlanta, he is a far-left liberal in Washington, D.C., and that's the only place that it actually counts if you're a United States senator. So why don't we ask John Ossoff, why did you vote to raise taxes? Why did you vote to keep illegal aliens on Medicaid? Why did you vote to bankrupt Medicare? Why did you vote to make sure that people who work overtime and earn their income from tips pay as much to the federal government as possible? And the simple answer is because John Ossoff, whatever he pretends to be in his television commercials, he doesn't give a damn about the 3rd District, and he doesn't give a damn about the people of Georgia, but we do, and we're going to fight for you every single day. Let me just leave you, my friends, with a final thought. I want to thank you all for being out here, and again, thank the folks behind me, the great workers of this facility. And I'll take a few questions. Should I take a few questions from the media? Okay, I'll do that. So we'll take a few questions from our great reporters, hopefully some local reporters back there, but I'm sure some national fake news as well. But, you know, I went to Union Station in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Anybody here ever been to Union Station? Okay. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, really a monument to American greatness. I was walking around, I was looking up at it, these beautiful high ceilings. It looks like something out of a fairy tale. And I remember that 2 years ago, when I took my kids to Washington, D.C.'s Union Station, I actually had a crazy person screaming at my 3-year-old kid. Because for some reason, and I never understood this, American leaders decided it was compassionate to allow people to fester on the streets, yelling at our young families instead of giving them the medical care that they need and getting them off the streets, which, by the way, makes it easier for us to all enjoy these great public spaces in our country. And I haven't been to Atlanta in a little while, at least now with the Secret Service detail. I haven't walked around Atlanta in a little while, but I bet that as great as Atlanta is, and as beautiful of an American city as it is, there are places in Atlanta where you wouldn't take your family today. Is that correct? Just like in Washington, D.C., the national capital of the greatest nation in the history of the world, there are no-go zones where you would not take a young family or you would not take young children. And that's true, I'm sure, all across the state of Georgia, all across our country, because our leaders decided that they would make our streets safe for criminals instead of safe for the people who pay our taxes and keep our communities going. And I think that of all the things that I'm most proud of the president, the thing that I'm most proud about is that he finally put the government to work for the people who actually make this country function and run in the first place. We're cutting taxes for American taxpayers. We're securing the border. We've got 99% reduction in illegal border crossings in this country because we got a president who empowered Border Patrol to keep us safe. And we got a president who's standing with law enforcement to make it easier to clean up our streets, to make them safe for our young families. If you're a person, I don't care what your political party is, but if you're a family and you want to take your kid to a nice meal in downtown Atlanta, it's about a 40-minute drive, take your kid to a nice meal in downtown Atlanta, you ought to be able to without being harassed by a criminal. We got to take America's streets back for the American people, and that's what the President of the United States is doing every single day. And as a person who grew up in a family where we often struggled with money, you know, it is never the rich people that lack public safety in this country. When we go to war against our cops, when we flood the border with illegal immigration, when we close down great American factories, it is the people the Bible calls the least of us that struggle the most and hurt the most. So I'm proud to be here as your vice president. I'm proud to be here as a representative of President Trump. Thank you. But I'm most proud that we have an administration that is making it easier, whether you're rich or poor, to walk down the street with a semblance of public safety. I'm most proud that we're fighting for the jobs of the people behind me and the jobs of every single working person in this country, and we're fighting to make sure that you pay low taxes instead of a bunch of garbage to the federal government. I'm proud that we serve an administration that cares more about American citizens and our public safety than giving Medicaid and Medicare to illegal aliens, which is what John Ossoff wants to do. In other words, I am proud that the kind of family that made me who I am finally has a representative and a fighter in Washington, D.C. I promise you, we'll keep on fighting for you every step of the way. God bless you, and thank you for having me.